All right, thank you so much for staying with the Monday Report. You're just in time for the town hall with an all-female panel for the very first time here, right? Brilliant. It's International Women's Day. We celebrate all of them, our mothers and sisters out there. We appreciate you standing by all of us. Salute to all of you. So, here's the question. Have we done enough to ensure that we have gender equity? At Trevor Mbiji at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Monday Report. Send in your videos. We'll be posing some of the questions to my panelists tonight. Let me introduce all of them, starting with the ones joining us virtually. Phyllis Wakiaga, she's the CEO, Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Thank you so much for making time. Carol Karuga, she's the CEO, KEPSA. Thank you so much for making time. Kendi Nderito, she's the country manager, Microsoft Kenya. Thank you so much for making time. And with me in studio is Senator Beatrice Elachi. She's the CAS, Public Service and Gender. Thank you so much for making time for us this evening. And Cass, Senator. Cass. Let's stay with Cass. I'll start with you on this one.
It's an office. Any
of them still works?
Yes, any. It's an office.
So do you think, are you satisfied with the progress we've made so far towards gender equity?
Well, thank you very much, Trevor, and happy International Women's Day. First of all, I wouldn't say we are satisfied, but I'll say we've had progress in terms of where we have come from. When you look at when we did the 1985 Nairobi Forward meeting, and then you come to the Beijing platform in 1995. Moving on, I think as a country, we have progressed.
Yeah.
But we know the biggest challenge has always been the challenge of ensuring women in political decision-making positions.
Yeah. I
think that is where we've had a long journey, and a journey where this evening I just want to appreciate the trailblazers, the Mama Phoebe CEO, Professor Anjiko Kabera, Honorable Rose Waruhiu, and Martha Karua, Charity Ngilu, and many others who have really, Beth Mugo, they've walked a journey that we have seen women move into political positions, but now we are at a stage where I would want to say that yes, we have seen how we have moved since 2010 with the progressive constitution and where we are now.
Okay.
We are hoping through the BBI we can now break the ceiling of saying yes, come 2022 we might see more women coming into parliament, being elected.
All right.
Being elected.
Kendi, I know you will not delve into the BBI, but are you happy with the progress so far?
Am I happy with the progress? We are not there yet. We still have so many years left before gender equity is achieved.
Yeah.
And we've seen numerous reports, the latest being from the McKinsey report, which showed that we still have about 100 years to go for there to be gender equity. So has there been some progress? Yes, very little. The pace is also very slow. And the years, as you see, there are many. So we are not there yet, and we are not satisfied.
All right. Carol, what are your thoughts?
So I echo my fellow women, but let me say something. So sometimes we don't celebrate small milestones. I think we've come a long journey. There are many people to celebrate in the political scene, but even in the private sector. I must say, you look at the last 3 years, and you look at the C-suite, as we call it, you'll see that there are more women than there've ever been, especially in Kenya. And so for me, I celebrate that first. And so that when we don't celebrate our small gains, it's hard to see the journey like we are making it, and always see how long the journey is. So I think for me that is exciting. We're seeing many more women in the workplace. We're seeing more women in managerial positions. So there's good progress. Is the journey over? No, we are yet to get there. But yet we have made several milestones in different sectors at different times. So some sectors better than others. Maybe in the business community, I think we've seen it more in the last 3 to 5 years, a lot more, especially in the leadership. But in terms of even just the workplace, I think that's been a long journey, and we've seen more and more women in the workplace than ever before.
Okay. Phyllis, is that the same experience for you in the manufacturing industry?
Thanks, Trevor. First of all, happy International Women's Day to all the accomplished women on this panel and all the other women who have chosen to challenge, who have chosen to lead, and who have chosen to serve. Have we gotten there yet? I agree with my fellow panelists that it's still a journey, but we can't say that we haven't done a lot. We have seen people challenging the status quo, the gender biases, and the inequality that has been meted against women. So over the years, we have seen increasing progress being made globally. We have seen the consciousness around this subject, and I think this is what leads to the end results that we hope to see. Within the manufacturing sector, still a long journey. It's still very heavily male-dominated, and I'll speak more about it as we have this conversation.
Yeah, I'll give you a chance to talk about what you're doing all individually. But Kendi, I'll actually start with you on that. So Microsoft has an initiative called Tech for Dev that have partnered to train about 5 million girls and women across Africa in coding and deep technology skills by 2030. How then do you ensure that this empowers women without discriminating on the men?
So, thank you, Trevor. As we already established, we still have the gap between the men and the female. It's still quite wide. When we focus on training women at this particular time, even as Microsoft, we're not saying we're ignoring the men. It's just that we're working to improve how much women participate in matters technology, matters development, matters digital. It is one of the bodies, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, cautioned that Africa's inequality could worsen unless concrete action is taken to bridge the continent's digital gap or digital divide. Now, we appreciate over the last 1 year, we have seen technology from a very different perspective, where we've seen technology come to the most basic of our needs, or help meet the most basic of our needs. Now, if we don't have women involved in that, then it means as Africa, as Kenya, as a country, a continent, then our pace of development is slowed down, and that is what we aim to address as Microsoft. Because to achieve gender equality and decent work and economic growth for women and girls, we must actively just be able to empower them and remind them that they can actually participate in as much as men can participate.
All right. Wakiaga, you were talking about the manufacturing industry. What are you personally doing to ensure that there's some level of gender equity?
As we stated, the manufacturing sector is one of the most male-dominated sectors, but we also recognize that it's a very important sector in the economy, contributing to between 7.5 to 15%, depending on the year, and also contributing heavily to tax revenue. So if we're going to see women's economic empowerment go forward, this is one of the sectors that we really must see how we support. So what we are doing as an association is we are running a Women in Manufacturing program to support women in manufacturing and get more women into the manufacturing sector. We have recently carried out a survey within the sector, and we found that out of the 14 manufacturing sectors in the association, only 3 of them have more than 40% women within their workforce. And from an ownership aspect, also a lot of women-owned businesses are in certain sectors, which are mainly the food and beverage, the cosmetic sectors, and others. And there's nothing to say that there's anything wrong with those sectors, but there's also a lot of more opportunity in other sectors in manufacturing, like the metal and allied, the building, mining and construction, the steel sector, amongst others. So what we're trying to see is how we can support women businesses, first of all, to grow and formalize, because statistics have shown that in Kenya, 93% of the informal businesses are women-owned. So we want to see how we can support more women businesses to formalize, how we can also assist them to access finance, because access to affordable finance is another challenge with collateral and all the instruments in place. So the program is quite broad and really goes out to support the women within the manufacturing sector, and also create linkages with agriculture, value addition, and all the other sectors that support manufacturing.
Okay. Carol, I'm asking this question because I see Bella Ndichu here on Twitter is saying that nowadays gender equality is getting out of hand. We should talk more of helping a brother and helping a sister, not just focusing selfishly on one side.
So let me start from what we're doing to have gotten here so that we can also help both. And I think for a long time, let's just face the truth. It's there was a lot of focus on the boy child, in the sense that they had more opportunities than the girl child, just because of different circumstances and environments and social structure and all that. But I think as we start focusing on the girl child, it's true, we can't focus on one and leave the other. It's continuing to focus on both, but to say where are the main challenges. And for us, what we've been doing at KEPSA is looking at all the sectors, because as an umbrella body, then we look at all the sectors and say, how do we need to help women, and especially women in business? So the first thing is to help them organize into associations. So we have women in business, we have all women in tourism, as Phyllis said, there's women in manufacturing. So they're different, they are organized in sectors, but they are also organized around just women in business or women entrepreneurs and all that. Then once they're organized like that, we help them come together as associations, and then those associations will now join KEPSA. And then from KEPSA perspective, we've done several things. One, of course, when the 2/3 gender rule was passed, we said, you know what, private sector, can we lead by example? And you've seen that not only in management, but you've seen that in the boards. A lot of the boards today are making sure that they're including women. So that was one big thing. We really worked silently, quietly, without making noise, and just pushing the agenda slowly, and boards have appreciated. And we use numbers. You know, the good thing with business, once you use numbers, no one fights with numbers. And so that it was easily acceptable. But secondly was to say, what else do women need? And again, as Phyllis said, we said the issues like finances. So if you look at last year, we partnered with MasterCard and said, can we work on interest-free loans to SME businesses? But again, when you look at most SME businesses, who are the owners of SME businesses? Mostly the women, you know. And so we knew when we do that, we'll at least target more women than anyone else. You know, and then we worked on we have a mentoring program which work with the Irish Embassy, and that again is on around women in entrepreneurship, women in business. So generally, all women in Kenya, different levels, and so they are mentored by different businesses. And they're not only mentored by women businesses, but also men businesses, because you learn from everyone. But just to answer that bit, it is true. We are working on both. So when we say SMEs, we don't differentiate and say only women. We work on both of them. But of course, there are women-specific programs just to bring equity to a level playing field.
Okay. Elachi, where do we draw the line? Are we facing a situation where we might tilt the balance so much so that instead of balancing, it shifts to one side?
Well, first of all, we should always remember now our history. Where do we come from? Trevor, we come from a place where naturally, the boy child naturally would just grow into a system that is very favorable, a system that ensures from home you're able to understand how you're moving on with your life. You come to a girl child at that time, naturally the girl child knew, I am supposed to ensure everything is done at home before I think of my life. Fine. As you say, where do we draw the line? We draw the line at a time when we see that both male and female are able to work and ensure both of you are able to bring development within a country. That inclusivity is very critical in terms of building not just you as a man and a woman, but also ensuring that country grows economically and grows in a manner where we don't have policies that you'll find one gender feels heightened than the other. And I think that is what we've been trying to do. How do we ensure policies come in to enhance the different genders that we have? That is why we've had the affirmative actions that have come within schools to ensure girls are able to come and compete with their male colleagues. And moving on to the university intakes, slowly by slowly, I think we are coming to a point now when you look at now the generation we have. Going forward in future, you'll find that both of them will feel we are all both male and female, and we are able to compete competitively without feeling that one gender is more superior than the other. And I think we look at it on a, I know people think about it in equality. It's not equality. We are looking at it at equity. That parity, ensuring if it's women At the moment, we are looking, how can you access finances? Because if you empower a woman economically, definitely these other issues will fall apart. And you will be able to see a woman come out confidently and compete within the lives that we have today.
Okay.
When you look at government, you find that the many policies we've put in place, and I think we start with the policy where government at that time, and I remember it's Professor Wanjiku Kabira, that time, who thought about having a women's fund. And I remember with Daisy Amdani and many others sat down in the Women's Political Alliance and the caucus, the Women Caucus, to rethink how do we ensure we can empower women. That is how we come to the birth of the Women Enterprise Fund. We've moved on, and now government has realized when you put in resources to ensure women are able to tap on, then you bring out SMEs. You are able now to see women employ. You are able to see women empower themselves, go for their own trades, and now we move. We have women I know who are now trying their best to come up with EPZs in this country, and we are praying that we'll see the first woman in Kisumu do that. And therefore, if we are able to see women move, we know even within the political arena, you empower them financially. In the political arena, women will come out and stand and compete like any other. But now, for now, when you look at the playing ground, you will still find that you'll still go to a bank. If we don't have the fund for government, women will always find challenges when they go into banks. Banks have changed today because of the Women Fund. They realize women are going back to SACCOs. Women are able now to tap on the government funds, and therefore they had to change strategy to come up now with funds that can support women.
Wakiaga, what is that one thing that you feel men don't understand when it comes to this the search for gender equity?
I think sometimes it's what we've been talking about, the fact that if you're empowering women, it means you're leaving men out, which is not the case. The conversation we're having is about diversity and inclusion. And it means gender is one of the diverse things, but it's even diverse educational backgrounds, diverse religious backgrounds, diverse ethnicity, and ensuring that you bring diversity to the table. Because where there's diversity, there's different opinions, there's different ways to look at things, and that's where you come up with more holistic decisions that make society a better place. So this conversation around equity and inclusion should not be looked at as a fight against the boy child. As a mother of 3 boys, I would also not want the boy child to be excluded, but it should be looked at as something that is saying, can we bring all the players to the table? I always quote Barack Obama when he was in Kenya. The former president of America said that you can't win if 50% of your team is not playing. We are 52%. If half of us are not playing, there's no way we'll win as an economy, there's no way we'll win as a country. So that's what I think we need to make clear, that it's really about seeing how do we do what is best for the economy, how do we bring the best out of society and utilize the diversity that God has given us to build a better country and a better world.
Kendi, does this have anything to do with the upbringing? Because I know I was listening to you at some point and you had mentioned that for you, your parents gave you the opportunity the same level as the boys in the family. But does this have anything to do with the culture that we have as a country?
First, let me, traditionally, and I keep thinking about this, and Rita, who's now the chair of KPC, brought this to perspective. I hadn't seen it before. But if you look at the big book, if you look at the reference of culture, we love to define the Proverbs 31 woman. And the Proverbs 31 woman is one who wakes up in the morning, figures out what is being fed to the home, and while the partner, who is assumed to be a man and the husband, sits by the gates and waits to hear the praises. Then you come to the traditional setting. Same, you find the women woke up, went, fetched food, did everything the whole day, while the men mostly went and sat and then came back home to eat. So we were then brought up, that's the background that we're coming from as the African woman or as the Kenyan woman, where as the lady, you were brought up to figure out what is happening. And I know it's Phyllis who's alluded to this. You're supposed to figure out what is happening in the home. And it then brought up, unfortunately, men who tended to just sit and wait for things to be done. Or they were given a very little task and celebrated so highly because the woman was trained to cover for the family, or to cover for the man, and he gets the praises. Now, if we see that, then, and being that as Africa or as Kenya, we are very traditionalist in that sense, or the society or the culture, that's how we've been socialized. It then means that as the girl, as I've been brought up primarily to nurture. But for me, when I was growing up, my parents actually gave us an equal opportunity. I think I was saying earlier, today has been a long day, various conversations, but I was saying earlier, my brother, who's older than me, who's actually a doctor in mathematics, we were given similar tasks. If it's porridge, he was older, but we had to take from same cups, because what he could take, I could take. If it was cooking, we would be naughty together. He would teach me how to cook. We didn't go to the kitchen and then I'm the one cooking and he's the one. No, our parents made us believe, and my parents were very instrumental. They made me believe that what your brother could do, Davis, you could also do, and maybe even more. And so I grew up knowing I could take the sciences, I could take mathematics, and it was a level playing field for me. Yeah. So even now, as we proactively bring up our children, what then do we train them? Knowing that we are coming from that background where women, we've been culturalized or socialized to believe that we take the very nurturing role, which there's nothing wrong with that, but the nurturing role is also moving digital. It's moving to that. And that is why we must participate then as women. Okay.
Let me bring in some video clips that I was sent in by some of our viewers here, and then I'll get your reactions on it. Let's play the first one.
One thing that we should do is to make laws that will make playing field for both men and women favorable in our political arena. Number two, most parastatals are being headed by men. Why should the government appoint equal women to men in these parastatals?
Carol, your response to that? Is it a matter of lack of policy and skewed appointments?
I think it's what Kendi said. It's where we are coming from. And so we're trying to break that glass ceiling. And I must say, I'm one of the privileged ones because I chair parastatal, and one of the new parastatals, and very vibrant, and in the sense that it needs to achieve a lot for this country. That is the special economic zones. So it's just not a little parastatal by the corner, but it can make a lot of difference in this country in terms of the economy, in terms of investments and all that. So I think it's happening. And as we're saying, there are areas that we've done well. There are areas we are going slowly. But at the same time, I think what is being emphasized is that not for a long time, as we've seen from our history, and there was the focus on the boy child going to school and all that, and then less of the girl child. And now there's been a bigger focus on the girl child. And so there's the question of, are we leaving the boy child behind? And we should be saying all policies should be gender sensitive. And gender is not women. Gender is making sure that both boy and girl have the equal opportunities. But let me say all this. Despite our history, I'm one of those that I must say, my grandmother, who passed on about 2 years ago, over 100 years, wanted to be the first doctor in the country. So as you know, with all our differences, but again, what stopped her? She got married early. We faced, I think, emergency or war, so she had to stop going to school. You know, there are certain things that would happen in a society, and the people who would be affected first is the girl child. You know, if there's war, the boys may continue to go to school, but the girls would stay home. or if they've attained a certain age, they're asked to get married and they leave school, So she never got to be a doctor as she wanted to be because circumstances never allowed her, but she had that vision, despite what the history and society thought of the girl child and going to school then. So there were still those outliers, but I think that's what we have gotten to say. We shouldn't be outliers, to just be equal opportunities for all, and then dealing with those societal or environmental issues that affect the girl child, or in some instances the boy child, so that we grow together. I think that's the whole idea.
Okay. Elachi, is there a policy gap from where you stand?
The policy gaps might be there, but you find that, let's say, for example, a girl child. When you're growing up, how many times will you miss school? Before we brought in the policy of sanitary pads and all that. So you can imagine a girl child growing through a girl child and a boy child. There's a lot of difference in terms of advantages and privileges that you have when you're growing up. And it goes on until when you come now, you're a mother, you have to carry and ensure you're a caring mother, you'll give birth to human and go back to your duties. At the same time, the boy child is still moving on. And therefore, when you find, that's why I say it, in terms of culture, and in terms of how God has brought us in this world, women will always carry a bigger burden than our male. Today, how many single families do we have that women are taking care of? Thousands and thousands. Even where we have our husbands, women are the ones taking care of even their husbands and making sure you cover. Look at post-COVID, how it has come. The most vulnerable people have been women. Women are the ones who get out and do unpaid jobs. You'll find many of your women waiting. They would want to come and do cleaning in your house, everything. During COVID time, those are women who really suffered. So yes, there's a gap of policy. And those policies still must come and now again take care of the women who we know 80% are in the informal sector. They are the ones who are down there trying their best in the small SMEs, in the markets. How many thousands of women will wake up to ensure at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 2, you'll find women in the markets in Kikomba, in Marigiti, waiting to start their trade. And therefore, we have to ask ourselves, if it is going to fetch water, who are doing the same cause? Women. Women are the ones who would wake up very early in the morning, before 5, before the sun is up, to go and look for water, come. So when you look at all that and time that a woman has used, if you quantify it into money, then women will be paid a lot of money, even in this country. So if we are talking of policies, yes, we still need policies to support women, and to ensure also government stands in that some of these things that we can do as government, so that women are able to lessen their burden in terms of what they do, and ensuring that at home, appreciate what that woman has done. You can imagine my clock starts at 4 a.m. And I am supposed to ensure by 7 we are walking out together to go to work. But I started my clock at 4, you started your clock at maybe 6:37, and the first clock means I have to ensure you're dressed up, you're clean to move. So even as we talk about, and those are some of the challenges. I know today we wake up and it's a different life, yes. But naturally, by culture, by what, a woman will just have the spirit of ensuring I have to cover for my family, regardless.
Wakiaga, what are your views on that? Is it a lack of policy?
My thoughts, first of all, I want to echo what everyone has said, that the contribution of women's labor continues to be undervalued despite the value it brings. And I think Senator Elachi has brought it out so clearly. There is a lot that women do that is not quantified in terms of monetary and is really undervalued. And that contribution is not recorded or even recognized within the home in many cases. So what I believe is that the need for us to really support and really create social safety nets that ensure that women are able to continue to do these things, because of course the role must be played, but it should not stifle their ability to grow, whether it is in their careers or to grow their own businesses. So of course we need gender aware and gender sensitive roles. We also need to be gender sensitive as we implement them at a legislative level. But more than anything, even within the workplace, the policies we put in place to support women. And I must say that we've seen between KEPSA and CAM, the efforts that have been put in place at the workplace to try and even support women who are mothers or going out to maternity leave. So including the laws and also the policies at workplace, I think we'll be able to continue making the strides we are making towards gender parity.
Yeah. Carol, as the umbrella body, what are you doing to bridge the policy gap?
So we've done two things so far. One, I think one of the challenges that we had, we saw with women not being able, especially to climb the career ladder, especially as mothers, was the issue of when they would have babies, they would now go home, and many would choose either to stop their career for some time because maybe they want to do breastfeeding for a while, or others would really not focus on their work, and that would have an impact. So one of the bills and acts that we worked together with UNICEF was on better business practices in the workplace for children. And this was to establish mothers' rooms so that mothers can still express their milk and be able to carry it home safely and be able to continue breastfeeding and not worry about their children. And some of the businesses and the big businesses, the Safaricoms and the Isuzus and others, established actually beyond mothers' room, they established children's rooms where mothers can actually come even with their babies and just be at peace with work. And that really has helped not only the bottom line of the companies, but a lot of the mothers to either to stay at work and also to focus and at work. So that was a big one. But the second thing that we did, and especially last year, we conducted a socioeconomic impact on COVID-19 on women and youth-owned-led businesses. And we are finalizing the development of a gender policy that will guide gender mainstreaming efforts in the private sector. So in terms of policy, we continue to say, what do we need to do and where are the gaps? And even with the issue of the better business practices, we are really hoping other sectors, whether it's a civil society, whether it's government, we can see more. We started seeing a bit in government, but we need to see more. So that it's just not the private sector, but then we start losing women in other sectors, So we'd like to see more women, more sectors doing the same. So this policy, I think, will really inform a lot of the gaps where they lie, and at the same time, ensuring that we are also, it's gender, so it means it covers, we are looking at women and youth-owned led businesses here, but then when we look at those gaps, we'll also be able to address, are those gaps also affecting when we're looking at the youth, because it will be both male and female, it will help us address those things, so that this equity, we are focusing on equity, not equality, and so policy is excellent because it helps you respond to a problem than when we only speak about it, and then we have the tools to respond to it.
All right, I have to take a quick break here on the Monday Report Town Hall. When we come back, I'll run some of the videos you sent through and a bit of feedback as well at Trevor Mbiji at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. My all-female panel returns in just a bit. It's International Women's Day. We celebrate our mothers and our sisters. See you in a bit.